Oh my God. Dynamite, June the 5th. Oh boy. This show is feeling more and more like a jumbled mess. I know that there are some people out there who really like this show. I would like for you to all go and get brain scans because I want to make sure that your brain is functioning correctly if you like these shows. Not only are these shows incredibly dry now, but it's almost like most of the people on the show are hamsters on a wheel. And the best thing on the show is the hot lesbian action, which you can have as long as you don't call it hot lesbian action. You can have all the hot lesbian action you want. You're just not allowed to call it that. Nothing significant in news and notes except Kevin Kelly complaining about Ian Riccaboni and how he stabbed him in the back. But I got so bored reading about it because Kevin Kelly is incredibly boring and it involves commentators. Look, the be all end all of this thing is that he wasn't a good fit and he knew it. He thought they were friends and Ian Riccaboni is a snake. But now, the one positive thing, I guess, if there is something to talk about, is that he wanted to try something different with Collision because he wanted it to feel different from Dynamite. And he actually got heat for trying to make Collision different from Dynamite. Which is interesting now that Collision is just Rampage. So, I guess they wanted to keep things consistent. If it's bad on one show, it needs to be bad on all the shows. So, there it is. Anyway, let's get into the rest of this thing here. We're going to be very, very brief. I'm not going to try not to harp on things for too long. MJF he came out, he's wearing a leather jacket again. He's wearing his ring on his pinky finger again. He put himself over, talking about how great he is, but he had to address some very bold claims that have been made since he was gone. Okada talked about being the Rainmaker. He says from looking at his body, he can't even afford a gym membership. And I was waiting for the Seinfeld laugh track after that joint. Swerve Strickland, he says that, Swerve should have been, he calls himself a mogul. He says that moguls go to business school. He said you shouldn't have skipped speech class. And I was like, well, that's another Big Bang Theory laugh track we should have heard from right there. Then he starts talking about Will Ospreay, and he called him a cocky cunt or something, like cockney cunt or something to that effect. Then he said that Ospreay calls himself the best in the world, but he's like not Cody Rhodes or Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, etc. All these people that he beat, and that MJF is the best in the world. And then he says that people tried to smear his name and revise his history since he's been gone. That part I wanted to put a pin in because that's exactly what happened. I did a video recently, probably about a month or two ago, about how a lot of the AEW fans started really hating MJF right at the end of his title run, right before he disappeared for a while. People was talking about how he was the worst world champion and how he killed the product in 2023, etc. So there was a lot of that stuff happening. So that's legit. Then Rush came out, and his English was no mas. It was not up to par. The best I could get out is that MJF has been gone. He's been there working, busting his ass, and he didn't get a hero's return when he came back. MJF made some failed jokes about him. Then they fight and they brawled, and that was the last time you saw either one of these people on this show. Look, I like Rush. I like Rush. I was a big fan of him when he was in Ring of Honor. This is a good position for him. MJF is a really good opponent. Rush has no chance of winning, but I don't see how they're going to book him strong and also book MJF strong at the same time. But it's a solid enough opponent, I guess. The question I got is MJF a babyface or is he a heel? Because you have to be dedicated to babyfaces and heels in order to jazz this product up. You can't have everybody running around being a tweener. It just don't work that way. Next, we got Roderick Strong. He had a vignette when he was running up the mountain or running around mountains or something with Bennett and Taven. Look, Roderick Strong has this mustache with these granny glasses, and he looks like a salary man. I mean, he just looks like he works in a cubicle. I just can't take him seriously. Not just that he's yelling people's names all the time, but just the look of him is very bizarre. You know, he doesn't look like a main event talent. He looks like one of these indie dudes. Like, I remember going to a GCW show, and it was a guy who was calling himself like Dan the Dad or something like that. He looks like that guy. You know, it's like a regular dude who takes up wrestling kind of as a joke. You know, it was weird. It's very weird. Swerve Strickland cut a promo later. Nothing mattered. Only thing is, he's talking about, oh, these guys, you know, they tried their best with the anarchy in the arena. Next time you form a team to defend AEW, don't forget the world champion. Which, why would he want to be involved with that? Never mind. Bryan Alvarez absolutely flipped his lid at the idea that Roderick Strong was getting a championship match on this show. It shocked me too, if we're being honest. It literally doesn't make any sense. I had to go and watch the segment to try to figure out what was going on, because I don't trust Bryan Alvarez. And then I watched the segment, and I watched a lot of the discourse around it. Now, the discourse around it was very important, because a lot of people were saying, like, how can Ethan Page get a title shot? He never worked there. You know, he's just coming in the door getting a championship match. Why are people knocking Roderick Strong getting a title match, and you're not knocking Ethan Page getting a title match, or you're not knocking back at, what was it, in January, where Jinder Mahal got a title shot? Like, why aren't you knocking this? Well, when you look at this, not only are you talking about the rankings, let's put that part aside. The last big match Roderick Strong had, he lost to Will Ospreay, right? And that wasn't that long before this challenge that he made. Second, the match that he was in, it ended before he got in it. So, like Alvarez said, he is one of who knows how many people that didn't get the chance. So why is his one complaint enough? Nothing seems to make sense, but this is AEW, and I'm not surprised that he did this. And it's a filler match on TV, so I don't understand being so upset about it. But I do get why people was taking AEW to the cleaners over this thing. Swerve Strickland defeated Roderick Strong, just in case you wanted to know. And was the match good? I was reading manga at the time. I wasn't paying attention. The first match on the show, I also read manga through this match. International Championship Fatal 4-Way. Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly? Didn't he just lose to Will Ospreay like a week or so ago? Why is he in this match? Never mind. Jay Lethal, who with him came that Martian Sanjay Dutt. And I want to do unspeakable things. Pause. You're going to stop right there. Phoenix, who won the match. Phoenix won. So Phoenix will be wrestling Will Ospreay next week for the title. I like Phoenix. Phoenix versus Ospreay could be fun. So I'm not going to down that one. But Fatal 4-Way for the International title, cringe. All right, it's a Fatal 4-Way. It's a cringe. So Trent Beretta comes out there. He's out there with Don Callis. They're going to attack Orange Cassidy to get a chair. Orange Cassidy gets the chain. Chris Statlander stands in between two of the guys, what she did, holds up and punches Orange Cassidy in the face. At that point, Orange Cassidy is disgusted. He's hurt because Chris Statlander has assaulted him. That was his best good friend. They're not friends anymore. She's a heel now, brother. Willow Nightingale ran out there to protect him because men can't hit women. And they're setting up obviously a mixed tag match. Later in the show, Willow Nightingale cut a promo talking about how her smile is usually her strength, but she's going to show Chris Statlander, who betrayed her while she was at her lowest moment, that her smile can be dangerous. And I want to give you, if I want to do the Will Smith meme, where I just stand and just present Willow Nightingale as somebody you should be pushing and doing stuff with. And you could do the same thing with Chris Statlander. So I'm glad that they're involved. I just wish they were a little bit more involved. But you don't need to do too much. Okay. Chris Jericho had a hell of a night. He popped up in several segments being absolutely obnoxious, but also being hilarious. I know that this is a gimmick that people hate online. There's a lot of people who hate Chris Jericho right now. But this rules. All right. This gimmick is funny as hell. For starters, his whole thing all night was him telling people how to do whatever it is they're doing. The driver is not driving right. He's giving the driver advice. It's unsolicited advice. You know, he says, I've been driving for 30 years. You must come to a full and complete stop. I thought, okay, that was kind of But then he starts talking about the cameraman, how the camera is kind of shaky. And then the nice little cherry on top is Brian Keith, who was like, if you had more respect for Chris Jericho, you wouldn't have a shaky ass camera. I love that. That pop. And then the bigger pop comes later, where Jericho is giving himself credit for the success of the 2.0 guys. One of them, the skinny one, he's married now. He's going to have a baby. Jericho is like, oh, I'm a 3-time father. You know, he tries to tell him how to take care of a baby and all this kind of stuff. And then as they're leaving, Brian Keith says to this guy, you better make sure that baby respects Chris Jericho. Like, bruh, huge pop. Huge pop. And then Jericho goes backstage and he bothers the guy who's dolloping the chicken and dumplings. I wasn't even tripping on that. The last one, when he walked up to a private party and told them that parties are more fun when everybody can join and you need to change their name to Public Party, I was like, bro, this is good. I know people are they trying their best to hate Chris Jericho. I'm not going to let you do it. Jericho is good. His matches might not be shit anymore, but whatever this thing is, he is really good at it. He's cleaning the elite out. They're trying to do the same thing. They're even using the same verbiage. Thanks, guys. Let's have a good job, guys. Good job, guys. They're doing the same thing. He is absolutely clearing these dudes because he is legitimately committed to the bit. And he's got Brian Keith there to be hilarious with them. That other guy, big tall dude, he's not really adding much to these segments. But Brian Keith being the enforcer, you know, that's better have that baby respect Chris Jericho. I love it. Thumbs up, brother. All right, Chris Daniels comes out there, bores us to death. He wasn't even out there long. I was just bored to see him. He's talking about the TNT Championship match. He's talking about a ladder match. There's going to be some qualifiers. Somehow Takeshita's in it already. I'm like, okay. I'm not opposed to Takeshita being in it, but when did that happen? Maybe on one of those episodes of Collision I didn't watch. In any event, Mark Briscoe wrestled Brian Cage. And I couldn't tell you, like, brother, I don't want to watch this. So, Brian Cage has a record of like 49-24. Like, how is that a record that you want people to know about on television? And Brian Cage loses. And I forgot completely that Mark Briscoe was the Ring of Honor World Champion. Why is he even in this thing? You couldn't find anybody else? Oh my God. So now Mark Briscoe is in the ladder match. Thumbs up, Mark. Not that I dislike you, but I just don't care about you at all. All right, Jack Perry, backstage, he cut a promo. He's actually getting better at promos now that he's found a character and a voice. It's coming across a little bit more sincere. He cut a decent promo on Collision when he was laying all over the floor. I think that was after Anarchy in the Arena. That's when it was supposed to have been filmed or whatever. And he was talking about all the things he had to give to the company and how much he loves AEW and look at what he's willing to do, despite the fact that the company turned their back on him. I thought that was really good stuff. You know, I'm going to give credit what credit's due. And I thought this one was pretty decent. It wasn't as good as the one after he got set on fire, but it was okay. And he's talking about, you know, nobody being willing to sacrifice as much as he has for this company already, and that the universe has already chosen him to be the TNT champion. The universe is picking people now because God doesn't exist. Next, Samoa Joe and Hook. They're doing a thing backstage. Samoa Joe is Hook's mentor. Not really, because Samoa Joe wouldn't call it a mentorship, but he's certainly mentoring him. And Hook is backstage eating junk food again. Now he's eating Funyuns. And I have to tell you, downgraded. He went from eating Doritos to Funyuns. Look, I don't dislike Funyuns. I think Funyuns are a top tier chip. You know, top tier onion ring product. Is that corn or like what is that? Because it's not an onion. So what is Funyuns? I've eaten many a Funyun. I just now thought about it. Like it's not potato. It has to be corn then, right? I don't know what it is. I'm not going to Google it either. We'll figure that out some other time. It tastes good though. Tastes good. It's garbage, but it tastes good. Tony Nese comes out of nowhere doing his Body Donna's gimmick. I forgot this guy even existed. Forgot he was under a contract to AEW. He's upset that Hook is eating garbage food. Hook rightfully shoots him in the chest verbally by saying, "You're a loser. You're a bum. Why are you talking to me? You have all these muscles and you can't win. You're just like Brian Cage in a smaller package." And then he snatches his Funyuns. And then Samoa Joe is like, we'll handle these guys some other time. And I'm thinking, do I really want to watch Hook wrestle Tony Nese? No. Why does Tony Nese even need to be employed? Let him go run the independents or something. Next, the Acclaimed are about to do a rap. They start dissing the EVPs. The EVPs cut their segment off, which I thought was funny. I'm not really enjoying the EVPs, but I did like that they didn't want to hear from the Acclaimed, because I also don't want to hear from the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed didn't win backstage, and then said, eventually you guys are going to have to face us. And I'm like, okay. Well, not really. Technically, they're the bosses. They don't have to do anything. But, I mean, I guess so. If you feel that way, what more can you do? The Acclaimed are burnt out. You know, that's one gimmick. They didn't run through the mud. It's over. I don't even see how people can even still engage with the Acclaimed. It's time for them to do something different. Mercedes Moné. They did a vignette for her, and this Stephanie Vacher. Because like I said before, it's title for title. So Mercedes talked about, you know, the Japanese female wrestlers being her superheroes, and because she that's the kind of matches she wanted to have, and how she's such a big star that Japan created 2 belts for her, the IWGP Women's Belt and the New Japan Strong Women's Belt, and you know she beat Stephanie before, and now she's got to beat her again, and all that junk. Fine, I don't care. Then they had the Blackpool Combat Club versus Team CMLL, and I was like, how many of these matches are you going to have? How many of these matches are you going to have? How many of these matches are you going to have? Just, hey, Blackpool Combat Club, which is still a thing for some reason. We couldn't rename them by this point. Or just call them the BCC for short. You know, like KFC. We know what it means, but we're changing it. We're trying to make it less regional, you know? In any event, just pick random Mexican guys. And whatever. Wheeler Yuta won. Danielson cut a promo later. He wants to win the Owen Hart Cup because he has let himself down in his last year. He's lost all these big matches, lost all these big opportunities. He said he's got one more left. This might be his last shot, but it's going to be the best shot he ever has, or something to that effect. And I tell you, this is the promo I wanted from AJ Styles rather than a ripoff of the Mark Henry thing. I like this. This was phenomenal. This was better. Like, AJ Styles did a great job with the Mark Henry segment. But it's the Mark Henry segment that AJ Styles is in there performing. This was more grounded, and I believed it more. Danielson has been losing a lot, and he's lost a lot of big matches. a lot of big title matches and storylines and stuff like this. And this is his last year as a full-time wrestler. Him getting into the Owen because he wants to wrestle in the main event of All In is a great story. I think you set him up for victory and you have to follow through, which means that perhaps Danielson wins the title. Maybe that's why Will Ospreay is wrestling for the belt at Forbidden Door. Maybe you have Danielson and Ospreay at All In. Or maybe you have Swerve and Danielson at All In. Both of those could be very interesting. Hopefully they make something out of this Danielson segment because they did a good job with it. They also did a really good job with Daniel Garcia. They did a vignette with him going back home, basically like a Rocky Balboa kind of thing where he goes back to his old gym to get in touch with his old self. He was 20 years old and he got into that car accident and he didn't know whether he was going to walk, let alone wrestle, and how he had to, work and dedicate himself and apply and had to remember all those experiences. He goes back to his old gym to feel those experiences because he wants to be the international champion. And as much as I love this segment, there's just no chance that he's beating Will Ospreay. There's just not a chance in hell. And maybe we should aim this towards a title he can actually win. And also, why is there a guy who's not even 30 doing like I'm washed up right now, I need to I need to collect myself kind of gimmick? I don't know, but I liked it regardless. Christian Cage wants another title match. He's hanging out with the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks says, the Stooges, that Stooge Christopher Daniels, they keep getting in the way every time we're trying to help some of our friends. But you guys keep scratching our back. We'll keep scratching your back. We'll figure out how to get you guys another shot anyway. You should have just said, give it to Nick Wayne or give it to Killswitch or somebody like that, and then had them give it to him, or have him chase for another title. I don't know. Christian did an interview with Chris Van Vliet. He says he's got 3 years left on his contract, which is unreal. And I believe Brian Cage says he's got 6 years left. I say, my God, these are absolutely NFL contracts, bro. This is sick. How long is this contract? Oh, my goodness. Ugh, that's nutty. He also talked about why he left WWE the first time. And he left because Vince McMahon didn't believe that he could draw on his own. So he put Chris Jericho in that triple threat match with John Cena, and that he was offended by that. I'm on the fence about that because yes, you should have just had Christian versus John Cena at that time. Also, this is Vince McMahon's money, and he don't want to lose it. So, and also, he doesn't want to have to blame John Cena for not drawing because, he wanted to test Christian's drawing ability. Sometimes things just don't work out in your favor. But I understand that he wanted better for himself, and that's why he left. So I ain't tripping on that. Christian's doing a really great job. Somebody thinks that he's doing a better job in AEW than he did in WWE. I choose not to engage in those kinds of conversations because I don't think that they're very healthy. Moving on. I guess this is the final segment. Saraya defeated Mariah May. So Mariah May comes out with Toni Storm. They actually kiss on the ramp because Toni wanted her to kiss her on the cheek. And then when Mariah leaned in to kiss her, she moved. She put her lips to lips. And I was like, wait a minute, that's sexual harassment. Isn't she like her supervisor? Wait a minute. Isn't that sexual harassment? You think I'm taking a Saraya match seriously? Bruh, come on. Anyway, Saraya defeats Mariah May by submission with her little submission hold that she does. Toni Storm was on commentary throughout the entirety of this thing. She was being actually more babyface-ish here. I think that they're kind of leaning towards Toni being a babyface, but they're like MJF, and they're teeter-tottering on which one she is. So she actually cares about Mariah May. So as Mariah May is in the submission hold, she's looking at Tony and she doesn't want to quit, and Tony's pleading with her, and it was very emotional. Very well done. Before Mariah gives up and she loses. And then Mariah and Tony are jumped by Harley Cameron and Saraya. And then Mina Shirakawa, who apparently is the number one contender for the women's title. When did that happen? Look, it makes sense. I guess she's been involved with this storyline for like several weeks. But how many matches has she won on this television show? I don't know. It doesn't matter. In any event, Mina Shirakawa, Toni Storm, and Mariah May are entrapped in a love triangle. And that has been brewing for quite a while. So you got Mina Shirakawa. She saved Tony and Mariah May, but she really only saved Mariah May because that's the only one she really cared about. And she was lovingly holding her head. And then they started, gesturing at each other. And next thing you know, Mariah May is holding both of them to her breasts. And I'm thinking, I like where this is going. This is good stuff. This is actually decent LGBT content. And it's all because it's hot lesbians. This is the good stuff. I don't hate this. Even though I don't have no idea who Mina Shirakawa is, like I said, she made a huge, huge impact on me when she kissed Mariah May in the mouth. And Toni Storm's doing the same thing. So I'm pretty sure Toni Storm's having the time of her life kissing on Mariah May every week. That's the show, for the most part. Show was very bad, as usual. Will Ospreay was not on this show. He said he had to go home because his schedule has been quite hectic. I don't know, man. He works once or twice a week. My schedule is very hectic, bruv. I gotta wrestle twice in a week, bruv. Oh, what is that? Unreal. You're basically a slave driver. Oh, boy. A lot of the older wrestlers were very upset when they heard that he was getting time off already because he was on the road for like Rampage and Collision. No, I'm sorry. He wrestled on Dynamite and Collision and had to go home to unwind. And all the older guys are like, what the fuck? But it's a new day. It's a new day. These guys don't got it in them anymore. They they use excuses like, oh, my family. Like, you was away from your family all this time when you were in Japan. Get fucked. You try to play that game with Tony Khan. But when you were spending weeks on end in Japan trying to grind to become the top guy, you weren't thinking about all that stuff. You just don't want to be in the United States because you don't have to be. I would use whatever excuse I got to get out of going to work. So I'm not going to begrudge Will Ospreay for getting out of going to work, for God's sake. But a lot of the older wrestlers are upset. They don't realize that it's a new day. Randy Orton has learned, it's important to go home for holidays and stuff, or just to be at home because it's Wednesday. And who knows? You might need to rub a dog's belly on a Wednesday or something like that. Moving on, before we close out, Ricky Starks put out a statement, talking about how he wanted to be a part of the show and he wishes he was a part of the show and all this kind of stuff. And then people ask Tony Khan about it. Tony Khan says something to the effect of, Ricky Starks has been a great wrestler for us, and it would be nice to have him in the rotation. It would be great to have him on the shows. And everybody's looking at each other like, is Tony Khan talking like he's not the boss? Is Tony Khan talking like there's somebody else that pulled Ricky Starks from the show? Is there something we don't know? Is there a higher power keeping Ricky Starks off the show? Because if Ricky Starks wants to be on the show, and you want him on the show, why ain't he on the show? What's stopping him here? What's in the way? Is it an invisible wall? Is you can't afford his plane ticket? What's going on here? Why can't he be on the show? And those are the details that people leave out when they don't ask any follow-up questions. And people are just kind of like, yeah, man, yeah, Tony Khan, he's doing the best he could do. He's trying, man. He's trying to get the guy on the show. It's like, is he not showing up? Is that what you're saying? Or, be a little bit more straightforward What's the problem? Get the guy on the show. You need him. All these guys going down to injury, and you're going to keep him off the show? All these guys going down to injury, you're not going to bring Miro in? I mean, are you serious? You need these guys. You literally need these people to come in and fill the spots of the guys who got hurt. And these guys are hurt long term. Edge is going to be gone for a long time. MJF was gone for a long time. Adam Cole was gone for a long time. And you bring in Tony Nese and Brian Keith and Big Bill and Mark Briscoe and Brian Cage? Oh, no. Nope. But see, this is the EVPs, right? They're making the decisions because you see everybody they like is on the show. All of their friends are on the show. People who were kind of against them, they don't get to be on the show. Oh yeah, I forgot. We got to do one more thing before I close off. So this video is going to be longer than I thought. Dax Harwood is a pussy, by the by. Okay? He's a real biatch. He cut a generic, boring-ass promo about standing up for AEW, kneeling and crying about his daughter. A guy on Twitter mentioned that, this promo will be great, but this is like the 75th time he's done it this year. So Dax Harwood did the old, I'm going to show you PFP to everybody because it's a guy holding like an NXT title or something like that. He looks like the kid from Napoleon Dynamite. Not Napoleon, but his brother. Right? That's what he looks like. And he's trying to make fun of him. And the AEW fans are making fun of how he looks and all this kind of stuff. Basically, it's a big old bullying circle. And Dax Harwood is a grown man who is shaky and weepy about his anxiety and losing his job and how much he loves pro wrestling and all this shit. He looks like a tough guy, but inside he's so tender. He's so tender. And he let this fan get to him. Instead of saying, damn, I am cutting the same promo a lot. Maybe I should vary it up a bit. It becomes, well, look, what about you, buddy? It's like, well, what about him? He's not the one getting paid to do this. You the fucking mark that's out here talking about, we need to stand up for AEW. My daughter, she loves red and green crayons. I'm going to buy my crayons without the rest of an AEW. I stand up for it. I die for this company. How you going to die for this? Get the fuck out of here. Look, man, from now on, FTR Haku from this point forward. All right? No respect. Wheeler's got a gun. He might be all right. But that other one, Dax Softwood, Haku from this point forward. Fuck him. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Yeah. We just gone.